just setting up the stream. I don't think anyone's watching, so that's okay. Save. Looks like that's working. Okay, so I'm gonna get off of that. Stream settings, stream URL. Gonna copy. Gonna go over to social, and my notifications. Nope. Setting it all up. If anyone is watching, then you're gonna be upset because this isn't great content right now. Okay, so there's that, and that's good. Okay, I'm just gonna let this stream go. I think I've got that. I don't want that. I want to share. Aha. Share. Copy video link. That's what I wanted. It's not the stream link, but the YouTube link. Okay, there's that. Let's open the audiobook. It sounds noisy, which isn't ideal, so I gotta figure that out. But I think we just look for some input stuff. Audio effects. Where's my isotope stuff? RX8 voice denoise. Okay. That'll work. So, I'll do EQ and all that junk later. I think we just, dive in and make stuff happen. So why don't we check on some things. Close analytics. No viewers, no views. All right, here we go. 5 minutes in, and I'm finally starting this stream. Hey, what are you going to do? It's my first ever live stream. Welcome, welcome. I am going to be reading the audiobook version of the Craftsman Creative book for all of you. And I'm making some adjustments to my microphone so that it's nice and close. And, ooh, that's better. Probably should have put up some sound. Shh. I need to get rid of that, but I can do that in post as well. But let's try some EQ real quick. Maybe there is a Dynamics de-esser mono. Sweet. Okay, that'll work. That's better, so my S's don't... That's better, so my S's don't sound so crappy. S, check, 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 check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hey, it's not, it's a little roomy. I need to get a little bit more over in this area. Here we go. How's that in my... Are you seeing that? Yeah, you're seeing that in there. Okay, well, there's the microphone, everybody. I do think I'm going to put up some sound stuff. So I'm going to come over here and look at the text. And I'm going to set this room up for some noise treatment. So let's do that and make the text size smaller. And I'll be right back. Doodle-doodle-doo. Okay. As promised, I'm live streaming my audiobook. But, you know, I failed to set up my sound room appropriately ahead of time. So I'm going to do that now by setting up some, what's called a sound blanket. Some people call them ferny pads or furniture pads. What that's going to do, I've got this big boxy room. Not big. It's about 12 by 12 or so. So what this is going to do for me is it's going to surround me with something that catches the sound rather than reflects the sound like these bare walls do. And what I hope that does, because you can kind of hear, this is what I'm going to be sounding like in the recording. It's a little noisy in the background. You can kind of hear the fans going a little bit. And you can just hear, you know, the room's just a little reverberant. So I'm going to take care of that. Should probably have some music going on or something like that in the background. Any requests? Play some, I don't know if I can actually. Maybe that's not allowed because it would be like infringement of copyright. Definitely don't want to be doing that. Throw up some John Mayer or something and then he'd sue me for not paying him to use his music for my recording. So, apologies if you're here for the good stuff. And, you know, I'm sitting here setting up a stand. It'll be like 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll be good. At least you can't see the floor in here. It's not the cleanest of rooms at the moment. We were just gone in San Diego last week with our boys. We took them down to, I should say I took them down to Legoland for 2 days. My youngest son's name is Liam, and he had a birthday last week on Saturday. So it was a perfect time to get out of town and, you know, hang out a little bit. It was really nice. All right, let's get this all hooked up, shall we? So if you're watching this going, he's going to record a whole audiobook in that room? Well, yes, I am. And this is, you know, I somewhat pride myself on being a sound person, someone who cares about good sound. I did live sound and stuff like that for a lot of my life, for about 10 or 15 years, actually. And, you know, did post-production sound for a long time, live sound with some bands like Imagine Dragons and Neon Trees. So I kind of know what I'm doing. But the whole point here is to, the real point is clean your room before you start working on stuff like this. But what I'm trying to accomplish with this right now is just making the room not so noisy, because noise is not very fun for people who are listening on a live stream such as this one, or an audiobook like the one I'm about to record. So this is a little janky, I'll admit, but all I'm trying to do is put up this material, which is going to deaden the sound. So the sound isn't going to be pumping all over the room and reflecting off all the walls and these picture frames and the door and all that stuff. But it'll hopefully kind of get quieter. So I'm going to close the door before I lock myself in. I'm going to finish hanging this guy up. There we go. So let's see what that did. Oh, it just looks janky, doesn't it? I should at least, yeah, it's a little cleaner. It's a little better. So, yeah, if I, ooh, very nice. Yeah, I can still hear the fan, but that's something I can take out in post-production. There's a little bit of noise, but I'm also very present right now, and I'm very up on the mic, so I'm bringing in a lot of that extra sound. Alrighty. All right, well, feel free to ask any questions. I will try to check in between every chapter or so that I can check. Still getting a little bit of that sound, that high end, like, there it is, check. I got it. I'm not sure if I can share my screen here, but I don't know if that's what you'd prefer. Anyway, I'm going to raise this other side because I don't like how it's just, you know, going like this or whatever. I'd rather have it cover the entire background, so I'm going to raise it. There, that looks a little better. I can even change my background up a little bit. There we go. Now I look like I'm in a... not even in a bedroom anymore. I'm in a sound booth for all you know. Okay, there's that. I'm going to turn my speakers down and stuff so that it's not feeding back. Okay, well, here we go. I'm just going to kind of hit it. I do want to see if there's a way to make some of this stuff. Chapter 1. Let's do intro first. So there's that. And then I'm curious if there's a way to share screen. I don't think so. I'm using this new software called Detail. It's kind of a switcher app, so I can switch to things like this. Be right there, getting started. There's all these overlays and text and stuff like that that I can do. So I'm not going to mess around too much with that. Okay. The input looks good. Oh, it could definitely be quieter in here. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do an entire run through and then I'll realize that it doesn't sound good enough and I'll have to redo it. In which case there are studios that I could rent and I will probably go there to have it recorded professionally. But I'm going to see what I can accomplish with just this. All right, so checking, and I'm going to pull up my book. Super fun. So if you were one of the many that have been reading the book as we've been going along, the book, as it is going to be released tomorrow, and as I'm going to read it with this audiobook recording that we're about to start, it's different. It's updated and edited, and it's better, hopefully. I did hire an editor, and I hopefully made some good choices there as far as who I decided to work with and the work we did together to make this better. So I'm just going to dive in and hopefully have everything I need. So here we go. Hitting record. And hitting record. Turn off the click because I don't need the click. Okay, here we go. Craftsman Creative, written by Darren Smith and read by me, the author, Darren Smith. To learn more, you can visit www.craftsmancreative.co. Copyright 2022, DS Media, all rights reserved. Dedication. For my wife, April, and our 3 awesome dudes, you inspire me every day to be a better husband and father. Okay, scroll past the table of contents. Don't need to read that out loud, I don't think. Let's see, should I call this intro? Part 1? No, yeah, just intro. Introduction, the parable of the contractor and the craftsman. Once upon a time, there was a contractor and a craftsman. And I hit my chair, so I'm going to say that again. Once upon a time, there was a contractor and a craftsman. The contractor had been building homes since they were a child. They learned from their father, a Finnish carpenter, who learned from their father. They've built homes the same way for decades. Their small business has had the same clients, the same size projects, and the same budgets for years. In fact, the business hasn't grown at all since the contractor took over from their pop. Every day is the same. Every so often, the contractor reads a book or takes a course on how to make more money building houses. They click on every ad that touts some secret or shortcut to riches. They often spend time late at night or early in the morning improving their craft. Their skill set is one of a kind, and their business is known for some of the best detail work in the state. However, despite all of this, nothing seems to grow their business or improve their circumstances. Work has slowed recently for the contractor. They were living month to month, but now things are even tighter, and the constant stress of needing more clients and projects keeps them up at night. There are economic and market realities that are out of their control. Machines, for instance, that can do a similar job for a lower cost. The price of materials has risen dramatically over the last year as well. The contractor is worried for their partners and family. What will I do if the business fails is a question that never leaves them. I must not be cut out for this, they say, sipping their drink before going on with their day, just as they did the day before. The craftsman. The craftsman is a builder and a creative too. They, on the other hand, came to this line of work after seeing a video on YouTube with millions of views of a person who built an entire cabin with their own 2 hands. This video sparked something in the Craftsman. They were already a successful business owner, running a boutique marketing agency for more than a decade, but they saw an opportunity to build tiny, off-the-grid homes for people who were looking to escape the city for some peace and quiet. They sought out an investor who wanted to expand their real estate portfolio and partner on the purchase of a huge plot of land, hundreds of pristine, quiet acres, perfect for tiny houses. They then found one perfect client and made them an offer the client couldn't refuse, their own little place off the beaten path at a price they could easily afford. Before the Craftsman had even broken ground, more than half of the plots were sold, and all the new owners had given her sizable deposits for their work. Now they had more capital to put into the infrastructure and the design of the cabins, and they started talking with their investor about purchasing a second plot to accommodate the demand. The Craftsman hired the best contractors to build the homes at a comfortable profit margin. Once the homes were sold, they split the money 50-50 with their investor partner. With their marketing agency, the Craftsman spent most of their time working in the business. But with this new opportunity, they're now spending most of their time working on the business, leveraging capital and labor to grow the business without needing to do the day-to-day work. The best part? They own 100% of the company. The more they grow the business, the larger the upside. Most of their quote-unquote work now consists of managing the systems that they built. The system for finding new buyers, the system for building homes on time and under budget, the system for ensuring that the business takes care of their customers so that they refer their friends, which keeps the cost of acquiring new clients low. Now the Craftsman is creating their next opportunity, which will bring them even more fulfillment and success in the years ahead. It's a lot of work, but they wouldn't choose anything else. Now, you may think that these are 2 separate people, but they're not. They're based on one person, me. In 2006, I started my first company, Soundsmith Studios, a boutique post-production sound services company. Things were great at the beginning. I started the business with a student loan that bought me a Mac Pro, a $1,200 42-inch flat-screen TV, and a killer surround sound system. I thought that the best equipment would make me better at my job. My first paying gig was on a small independent feature. I still have a framed dollar bill from the literal bag of money that I was handed in a parking lot from one of the producers. He was a doorman at the Sundance Resort and paid me in 1s and 5s his tip money from the summer. The business grew to where I was paying myself around $40,000 a year. I wasn't great at finding new clients. I had too much work to do. And ultimately, I partnered with the director of that first feature film to form a production company. Things were looking great, I thought. Yet, in about a decade of owning and running that business, I never paid myself more than $45,000 a year. In that time, I got married, I had 3 boys, and I bought a home. Suddenly, that $45,000 had to stretch further and further each year. At the end of 2017, I parted ways with that business and decided to take everything I'd learned over the previous decade of running my own businesses and do better this time. I became a freelance film and TV producer. In the first year, I made more than double what I'd ever paid myself in the past. And then I doubled my income the next year as well. I started leveraging other people's money for new projects like a TV pilot, a short film teaser for a feature film, and documentary projects. But then the pandemic hit, and yet my income stayed the same. How could that be? There's one reason and one reason only. I had the same work ethic, so it wasn't that. I had about the same skill set, so it's not that either. I didn't have more money, more connections, or more resources. The only thing that changed was my mindset. And that mindset shift was the progression from thinking of myself and approaching my business like a contractor to thinking like a craftsman. A few months ago, as I record this, I tweeted this out. Information is not a value proposition anymore. You can get all the info and knowledge you need online for free. So your value proposition isn't the secret. It can only be your ability to help someone achieve a specific outcome. The more I thought about it in the hours and days that followed, the more I felt this spark that I needed to do something to support my belief, or rather, to put up or shut up. I'd been helping creatives through courses and blogging and books and even going out to lunch and chatting with them for years. But I'd never owned the outcome for them. I always just told them, if you do the work, it works. But I thought, what if I could treat creatives like clients, even if no money had changed hands? What if I could do more to help them grow their businesses, reach more people, and make more money? Not just by sharing more information, but by joining them on their own creative journey and helping them grow their businesses. What a challenge it would be to create a way to share ownership of the outcome. That excited me because it meant that if I succeeded, then I could dramatically change the lives of the people I worked with. But what outcome? What was I trying to help creatives achieve? And how would I produce that outcome with them? More clients? More projects? More what? And how would we achieve it? From that spark was born a new book, Craftsman Creative. The goal of this book is to help you, dear reader, achieve the amazing goal of building a six-figure creative business. By following the chapters in this book, doing the work, and taking consistent action over a long enough period of time, that outcome will become inevitable. It's not just about the information in this book, but the actions you take as you gain insight after insight and apply the principles and frameworks to your business, starting with your mindset. Now, don't worry, I'm going to help you every step of the way, and I'm excited to be joining you on the journey ahead. The 30,000-foot view, the journey you'll take through this book and beyond. I've added this chapter up front because it's something I wish more books had, a 30,000-foot view of where we're starting and where we'll end up. In this book, I'm going to show you how to build a six-figure, one-person creative business. And since statistically, most people don't read every book all the way to the end, or listen to it for that matter, I want to lay it all out for you right here at the start. Here is everything you need to do to get that outcome. Find and connect with an audience of people. Create a profitable, no-brainer offer. Manually put that offer in front of your audience. Manually sell that offer to a few people in that audience. Automate putting the offer in front of your audience. Automate selling it to your audience. Optimize both to sell more. Optimize the whole system for the amount of money, time, effort, and freedom you desire. Now, of course, there's nuance to each and every step in the process, but if you stop right here, you have enough information to create a successful six-figure business for yourself. The nuance and the actions to take are what fill in the rest of the pages you're about to read or listen to. This book isn't just a book. It's part of a journey you're taking as the reader. But how did you learn that Craftsman Creative even existed? And how did you get here? Maybe it was via an ad on Facebook or a tweet or a course. Maybe you saw it after visiting my website or joining my email list or subscribing to my newsletter. Maybe you saw a link to the book, whether it was while it was being written in public or after it was published. What I'm talking about here is roads to finding a business, product, or service. The same journey that others will walk to reach you and your business. Once you've read and implemented what's in this book, you'll have all the information you need to go from a 5-figure creator to a 6-figure business owner and to bring others on the journey with you. But that change doesn't come simply from the acquisition of knowledge. It comes from action. It's my goal to give you everything you need to start taking action and making the changes necessary to develop your business and reach that next level with your creative work. If you do the work, the process, principles, systems, and frameworks laid out in this book are a direct path to that desired outcome. If you don't do the work, I make no promises. You're welcome to read the book all the way through first, if that's what you prefer, but at a certain point you'll have to take the knowledge you've gained and begin practically applying it to your real-world business. As a creative, it can be hard sometimes to move from idea to action. So you'll find tips for overcoming that tendency and much more in these pages. This book is split up into 6 parts, and they are meant to be read in order. Like building a home, you start with the foundation, then frame in the walls, then lay sheets of plywood on the roof, and then finish the exterior, then the interior. So here's our blueprint for a successful creative business. Part 1 is about mindset mastery. Part 2, vision and goal setting. Part 3, financial mastery. Part 4, marketing and audience building. Part 5, sales mastery, and Part 6, leverage, systems, and growth. Each one of these parts represents an essential element of the business you're going to learn to build through this book. A very specific type of business, one that's resilient and profitable, one that can support your creative work for decades and that can withstand any shifts in the economy, your market, or your industry. There's one thing missing from this business: your product or service, which you already have. This book isn't about creating SaaS businesses, startups, creative businesses, service businesses, drop shipping businesses, or any other type of business. It's not about creating the best product, though the sections on mindset mastery, marketing mastery, and sales mastery may help you rethink your approach. Growing your business isn't about creating more or better art. It's about shifting your mindset from thinking like a creator to thinking like a business owner. Write that one down. Put it in front of you and look at it every day. When the pandemic shut down the economy in the spring of 2020, events and concerts were shuttered. All of my musician friends were hurting as their main source of income was turned off overnight. The default response from most of them was to focus on their product, the live music they performed for audiences. Some went online and asked for donations through Venmo. Some put together small, intimate outdoor concerts. Some stopped altogether. The one constant was that none of them made any money, except for those that focused on their business instead of on their performance income. Some of these creators decided to repackage their product in different form, like an online course. Some decided to write music intended for licensing to others. By focusing on their business, these individuals thrived. These individuals thrived through the pandemic. In Part 1, we'll focus on your mindset as a creator. You'll learn new ways to think about your work, the jobs that people are hiring you for, and how to do that work at a professional level. You'll build new mindful habits and routines that help you get into a peak state. You'll build new mindful habits and routines that will help you get into a peak state whenever you want and snap out of negative states when you find yourself stuck there. You'll have a new perspective on your role in your business, and you'll learn the 3 personas every business owner needs. In Part 2, we're going to look at your vision and goals. We'll create a vision for your future that pulls you out of bed each morning. This will serve as your North Star as you build your new creative business, what you want your life to look like, what kind of work you want to be doing, and the reasons that you're driven to do that work for the people you seek to serve. We'll learn how to draft and adopt attainable goals and explore sprints and other methods for accomplishing these goals. And in Part 3, we'll learn the financial systems, frameworks, beliefs, and patterns that successful creators use to build and grow their businesses. Enough of the starving artist stereotype and the living paycheck-to-paycheck lifestyle. Let's create a profitable business with consistent cash flow. Let's create the confidence that you've set up your financial foundation for a successful business to be built upon. Sip of water time. Nope. Out of that one. And onto this one, the big guy. That's what you came here for, that glurpiness of me drinking a water out of a big water bottle. All right. In Part 4, we'll take a new look at marketing and audience building. Even if you, quote-unquote, suck at marketing, like I did in the past, you'll find ways to automate different parts of the process and get more awareness for the work you're doing. A business without marketing is like a man winking in the dark. Only he knows he's doing it. Having a marketing system that generates awareness and engagement for your business makes everything easier. You'll have more clients and customers, make more sales and revenue, and you'll be able to grow your influence with people who want to be on the journey with you. You'll learn how to create superfans by delivering more value than anyone else can, because you're the only one that can be you. In Part 5, we'll look at sales and deals. You can double your business in this section alone. Here are 2 quick examples. I recently sat down to lunch with a friend who was building a business centered around investing. He was having a tough time getting the money he needed. I asked him how the deals were structured and offered a new option: change the default investment. Instead of 2,500, make it 25,000. His eyes lit up and he instantly messaged his business partner. That change alone will more than double their business and the amount of money coming in. I recently sat down with another friend who was starting a podcast. She only had a single offer to bring in money for the business: sponsorships. In our conversation, we explored different ways to monetize the information and the opportunities: merchandise, courses, coaching, books, events. Thinking outside the box a little helped her see a bigger, more sustainable and profitable business, rather than a small content business built on a single revenue stream. You will do the same for your business, and you'll instantly be able to add more clients, more pricing tiers, and more offers to your business without requiring extra work or capital or people. Lastly, in part 6, after having built the foundation, the walls, the roof, and the exterior, we'll get into the details. We'll look at how to move from working harder to working smarter. You'll learn to avoid the trap of linear thinking. You'll build systems to automate the parts of your business that you shouldn't be doing manually any longer. You'll learn to use leverage and reputation to close on more deals. And you'll begin planning for success instead of chasing flawed baselines. We'll use all of these tactics. We'll use all of these tactics to grow, if it makes sense for you. I want to touch on an important point before we get started. The purpose of a business isn't necessarily to grow. That's not the ultimate goal of this book. The goal is to help you become a creative business owner of a profitable business and stay one as long as you desire. If you want to grow by the end of our time together here, you'll know how. But if you want to stop growing at a certain point and have a nice, consistent business that's arguably easier because the market dynamics are in your favor, then go for it. Say you're a photographer. You currently make $50,000 a year shooting 35 weddings. You could try to grow to 52 plus weddings a year, and you would make more money, but you would burn out pretty quickly. So you could hire other photographers and take a percentage of their sales, but now you're managing photographers rather than taking photos. Another option is to systematize parts of your business so you make more profit per wedding, increase your pricing because you're creating more value, and limit the number of weddings you do per year, which decreases supply and increases demand. Now you're charging $5,000 per wedding and limiting your workload to shooting 20 weddings a year. That's twice the income with close to half the amount of work, and it was achieved creatively via something other than growing your business. Learning to work smarter, not harder. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with that foundation. All right, there's the intro / part 1. So I'm going to hit stop on my record. I'm going to mute that. Whoop. I'm going to mute that track. I'm going to create a new track. Oh, I don't know that I like that. Because then... yeah, I don't like that because then I have to put plugins everywhere. So I'm just going to move over and call it a new spot. Let's see if there's a way to add a marker. I haven't used Logic in a long time. All right, let's check in. Any questions from the crowd? Nope. And no current viewers, so that's okay too. All right, here we go. Part 1. Part 1, Mindset Mastery. Success is 80% mindset, only 20% strategy and skills. Tony Robbins. A few years ago, I was so frustrated that I wasn't where I wanted to be in my career yet. I was desperate to figure out why. I had worked so hard, at times putting in 50 and 60-hour weeks. I had devoted all of my spare hours to learning my craft and improving my skills. I took every gig I could. I sold my butt off, and I created good work. Yet, still, I was stuck. I had no idea how to break through that $100,000 mark with my business. I didn't have anyone showing me the path, so it was trial and error after trial and error after trial and error. The result felt like a whole lot of nothing. What I've learned in the years since is that there isn't one magic pill. Every author and influencer will try to tell you their way to help sell more books and get more followers, but the secret is that there is no one way for creators to find success. There are, however, principles that have been tested and proven over time. One of the most important is the principle that starts this section on mindset. Success is 80% mindset and only 20% strategy and skills. I learned that lesson the hard way, and I wish I'd internalized it a decade earlier. It's not about your talent, your skills, your tools, or your strategy. The biggest impact you can have on your business is to change your mindset, specifically to stop seeing yourself as just an artist or creator and start thinking of yourself as a business owner. Chapter 1. The 3 personas every creative business needs. Learn to tap into different personas to grow your business. I started my first company while in college, doing live sound at local venues and post-production sound for film and television projects. I made around $35,000 that year between the summer of 2007 and 2008, which, as a single college student, was decent money. I was going to school and doing most of the projects at night or on weekends, so it worked out great. It was also one of the worst economic times in the United States, but I got through unharmed. 10 years later, however, in 2017, I found myself with a wife and 3 young boys, a business partner, and a failing video production company. That year, with everything that happened in the business, I ended up paying myself about $36,000. In 10 years, my financial situation objectively worsened. I was making less money, accounting for inflation, and had less of it to spend since my expenses had more than tripled. I needed to figure this whole business thing out, or else I wasn't going to be able to survive financially any longer. This chapter outlines the most important mindset shift that every creative person needs to make in order to have a successful, long-lasting career doing what they love at a professional level. To be clear, I mean making 6 figures a year doing what you love without getting burnout and having the freedom and independence to live life in the way you want, whether that means growing a family, living in a certain city or country, or however you define freedom and independence for yourself. The 3 personas every business needs. In his book, The E-Myth Revisited, author Michael Gerber outlines a few important mindsets that you need to apply to your creative business. First, the fatal assumption. That fatal assumption is, if you understand the technical work of a business, you understand a business that does that technical work. Now let's apply this to creatives. Many make the fatal assumption that if they understand how to create something, they understand a business that creates that thing. Yet there are many filmmakers, writers, musicians, photographers, dancers, developers, freelancers, and more that are masters of their craft, yet have struggling businesses. Second, the problem is that everyone who goes into business is actually 3 people in one: the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. And the problem is compounded by the fact that while each of these personalities wants to be the boss, none of them want to have a boss. So they start a business together in order to get rid of the boss, and the conflict begins. If you're struggling in your business and you feel stuck or frustrated or depressed by the current state of your business or of your current life conditions, then it's likely because you're trying to run your business as a technician. Using more applicable terminology, you are trying to run your business as an artist. By doing so, you are keeping the entrepreneur and the manager locked in the closet and have thrown away the key. If you've ever said the words, "I hate networking," or "I hate marketing," or "I suck at spreadsheets," or "I can't imagine having a schedule," then you've experienced this reality in your own business. In order to succeed, you have to be 3 people in one. You have to, at strategic times, wear the hat of an entrepreneur, the manager, and the artist. The mindset shift that matters most, from creator to business owner. Most likely you spent 90... April? Nope. Ghost. Most likely you spend 90% of your time in one of 3 personas, as I'll refer to them for the rest of this chapter and book. Creators get stuck in the $50,000 to $80,000 a year income range because they only ever use one persona to try and build their business. They falsely believe that the way to grow their business is to do more or better work. If I could just get better at writing, then I'd have a better business. Yet, there are plenty of below-average writers making 6 figures a year who have a thriving business. Same with founders who have a terrible idea but killer execution, a photographer who only uses trendy filters but is booked out for 3 months, or the YouTuber with much less experience than you with millions of subscribers and a new picture deal at Paramount. So the idea that all you have to do is get better at your craft can't be true, right? If it isn't true, then what is true? What's true is that these below average creators have figured out how to step into these other two personas. They think and operate at times like an entrepreneur and at other times like a manager. And not so surprisingly, they have successful businesses. Now that you know what's really going on here, let's dive deeper into these different personas and then explore how to strategically step into them to finally grow your business from 5 to 6 figures using the principles in this book. The entrepreneur persona. The entrepreneur is the visionary, the creative person, the one who spends most of their time thinking about the future. They're comfortable dealing with uncertainty and the unknown because dreams don't have to be feasible or have a plan. We'll get there somehow. There are good and bad traits to each of these personas that we need to cover so that we consciously choose the good traits and avoid the bad. Imagine a successful businessman. Slicked back hair, $1,000 shoes, 3-piece suit, getting out of their blacked out Tesla. No doubt they parked in a handicap stall because they can do whatever they want and the consequences can come if they dare. Inside the office, they expect adoration from their subordinates and demand control and attention wherever they strut. They use that control to get what they want from their company at all costs. The only direction they accept is up and to the right. And if they knew what people said behind their back when they're out golfing or traveling, they'd fire those naysayers in an instant. They command no real respect or influence other than what control they can hold in their grasp. But they're the visionary, so everybody just goes along with it while the getting is good. But they know that this state is fleeting and will ultimately come to an end, so they must take as much as they can now. Gross, right? These aren't traits you want to embody, and there are plenty of examples of visionary success without all the icky, slimy stuff. Take a different entrepreneur. They discovered how to create solar charging technology that can be used anywhere, costs little, and serves starving communities all over the world. They lead with vision and inspire people to join them in their mission to bring clean electricity to 1 billion people in their lifetime. They're incredibly prolific and productive because every waking minute is spent on their mission, and people can see how authentic and inspiring they are by the way they live their life. Their confidence isn't bravado, but a quiet confidence that inspires others to be like them. That feels much better, doesn't it? The qualities we want from the entrepreneur persona are vision, quiet confidence, influence, humility, integrity, and leadership. It's not about what the business produces or does, but about the way the entrepreneur approaches their work and those they work with. For your business, the entrepreneur persona will define the vision for your company and yourself. It will set big goals that feel in the moment inspiring, but to the artist and manager may feel impossible or unattainable. You'll spend a little time as the entrepreneur in this chapter about creating your vision. You will step into a different mindset and open yourself up to possibility and potential, and you'll create a vision that extends far beyond just yourself and your current circumstances. Every business owner needs to spend some amount of time as the entrepreneur so that a vision can be created for the future and the day-to-day work can be informed by that vision. The vision creates alignment in the business that makes The vision creates alignment in the business that makes these big goals attainable. The entrepreneur will be the one to create new opportunities, new connections and partnerships, new growth, and new ideas. Without those, your business will just stay how it is, as mine did for more than a decade. The manager persona. The manager persona is equally important to the growth and success of a business. A goal without a plan is just a dream. The entrepreneur's goal, without the manager's plan and the artist's execution, is just a dream. So spending 100% of your time as an entrepreneur is just as limiting as spending 100% of your time as an artist or manager. The manager thrives with plans and systems and frameworks. They then take those plans, systems, and frameworks and optimize them to perform at a peak level. They ensure that the day-to-day work is actually getting the business closer to reaching its goals. They don't spend time thinking about big dreams and vision. No, they just want to make sure that They just want to make sure what they have now, They just want to make what they have now work as best as it possibly can. If the entrepreneur is the one who steps into a restaurant and starts chatting up the hostess, then the manager is the one checking their watch because the reservation was for 6 o'clock, they arrived at 5:50 and now it's 6:03, so this restaurant has a faulty system that someone needs to look at. The entrepreneur admires the ambiance, the manager admires the efficiency, and the artist admires the food. Every business needs a manager because businesses grow by doing more of what works and less of what doesn't. The manager is the persona that determines through observation and analysis, 2 words you'll never hear an entrepreneur or artist use, what is and isn't working. The manager allows the artist to focus more of their time on their craft and making the work that serves their clients and customers. They create systems and automation that do menial tasks more efficiently. Every business, and especially every creative business, needs a manager persona at times. If you feel like, I'm just not a manager, don't stress. You're going to take your vision and start creating a plan and a mission and a goal in the coming chapters, and you'll consciously step into that manager persona. You're more capable than you've allowed yourself to believe, and it's time to start realizing the incredible potential you have inside you. More water. The artist persona. The last of these 3 personas that Michael Gerber talks about in his book is the technician, but for our purposes, we'll use the term artist. The artist is the persona that creates the art, crafts the product, provides the service, and creates what the business delivers to its clients and customers. Without the artist, there is no business. Even if you have an amazing entrepreneur and an equally amazing manager, you'd have a lot of incredible goals and detailed plans, but no action. Who else has a parent or in-law who had an amazing idea decades ago that has since become someone else's billion-dollar business? I have a relative who claims to have thought of the idea of pull-ups, the kid diapers that you pull up and down like underwear. To have a successful business, you need a great idea, a purpose-driven plan, and massive action. You need all 3 personas. Without ever stepping into the entrepreneur persona, you're stuck doing low-level work that never compounds and never grows beyond time for dollars. That's the mode I was in as a freelance sound engineer and filmmaker. Our big idea was to charge more money. Very creative. Without the entrepreneur's vision, you'll be stuck doing work that has a limit to how much you can charge. If you never step into the manager persona, you have dreams but no plan to achieve them. So you end up doing all the work yourself and burning out because there are no systems or optimization or automation or leverage. You don't know why you aren't making more money or aren't getting more clients or bigger projects because you never spend any time analyzing what's working and what isn't. And of course, a business without an artist persona that shows up every day is a business with no product or service. You can manage the details for years and never make $1. Many startup founders find themselves in this position because they marry a great idea with a good plan, but the manager in them keeps wanting to optimize and perfect the product before ever showing it to the public. They can spend years and tens of thousands of dollars and never ship anything, so the business goes under. Seth Godin has written often about shipping. Reid Hoffman famously said, if you aren't embarrassed by the first version of your product, you shipped too late. What they're saying in effect is that you have to let the artist show up at some point, do the work, and put the thing you made out into the world. But if you spend all of your time as an artist, you'll never grow your business. Without exception, the creators I know that have been stuck their entire careers making 5-figure salaries are stuck because they never step into the manager or entrepreneur personas to grow their business. Let's look at how to do just that in a practical way so that you can start doing this for your business today. How to operate as the different personas. The short version is that it comes down to scheduling. Schedule time in your calendar each day, week, month, quarter, and year to ensure that you step into these different personas and do the work that each persona is best at. Once a year and once a quarter, your entrepreneur needs to take control of your business to think about the vision for the next period, the opportunities you want to create, the growth you want to experience, and the dreams you want to make a reality. just as you will do in the vision chapter. Every month and every week, your manager needs to take control to go over finances, look at your sales and marketing systems, and observe what's working and what isn't. And your artist needs to show up every day to do the work as a professional rather than as a hobbyist who plunks away a little here and a little there without ever building up a body of work or showing your work with the world or building momentum behind the work you're creating. But what is the specific work that these 3 personas need to do? In the following chapters, we'll start to unpack those tasks by starting with further redefining our mindset. All right. Chapter 2, Defining and Understanding Mindset. Your mindset is the most important aspect of becoming and being a successful creator. At the heart of each of the 3 personas is a shift in the way one thinks about the creative work they do. In this chapter, we'll define what mindset is, why it matters, and why you should care about mastering it. Doing so will lay the foundation for everything else we're going to build on top of it to help you grow your business. Let's dive in. First, what is mindset and why is it important? Mindset is a set of beliefs, rules, dreams, and desires that live in your head that determine your thoughts, emotions, and actions. The dictionary definition is a state of mind or attitude. For our purposes, we'll look at mindset as something that impacts the experiences in your life, not just a state of mind or attitude. Extending the definition to include this will help you see how important your mindset is when it comes to reaching your goals and achieving your dreams. Your mindset is important because it's what determines how you think, how you act, and how you feel every day. The quickest way to change how you feel is to change your mindset. For example, if you believe that life is a gift, that influences the way you feel, the way you treat others, the emotions of gratitude that permeate your day-to-day life experience. If you can adopt that mindset, you can see how it translates to a better life experience. Alternatively, if you believe that life is a competition, a test, or a battle, you'll have a very different life experience. You'll constantly be seeking out the rules. You'll wonder if others are cheating. You'll try and win and see life as a zero-sum game. Can you already begin to sense and feel the differences in tension caused by those 2 opposing mindsets? The first feels open, easy, free, and beautiful. The other feels tense and charged and on the verge of something bad. Exploring that further, here's how your mindset ultimately affects how you feel every day. Your mindset determines your thoughts. Let's say you get a phone call from an old friend. There's no inherent meaning in that phone call except for the meaning you give it. If you see life as a gift, you might get excited that your friend's calling you out of the blue. What an amazing blessing to be able to reconnect and catch up. But if you see life as a game to be won, you might be thinking that this person wants something or has some ulterior motive. Nothing changed in this scenario except your mindset. Now, extrapolate that out over hundreds of days, thousands of interactions, and you can see wildly different futures for these 2 different examples. Your mindset determines your actions. Let's do that again. Your mindset determines your actions. How you respond to the person on the other end of a random phone call is informed by your mindset. That is, your mindset, framed by your thoughts, then informs your actions. What you think is acceptable or appropriate or expected of you is part of your mindset. If you see a random phone call as an opportunity, you'll act differently than if you see it as a competition or a game to be won. What if, instead of a phone call from an old friend, we were talking about a sales pitch to a potential client, or a partnership with another creator, or handling a customer's problem with your product? Extending those actions over thousands of interactions across thousands of people will have a dramatic effect on your outcome. Your mindset determines your feelings. Here's the real trick. By breaking down how we build our mindset, we can reverse engineer. Here's the real trick. By breaking down how we build our mindset, we can reverse engineer the mindset we want and need for success. Your thoughts and actions are inputs, things that you create and do. They are internally motivated and completely in your control. Your feelings, on the other hand, are outputs. They are impacted by external forces and often feel outside of your control. They are determined by the inputs given at any particular moment. If your mindset isn't optimized for the output you want, then you get something that looks like this. Bad mindset plus bad thoughts plus bad actions equals bad feelings. But if you change your mindset a little bit, you get okay mindset, okay thoughts, okay actions, all added together equals okay feelings. And if you master your mindset, you get incredible mindset plus empowering thoughts plus massive action equals extraordinary feelings. Think about that for a moment. If your day-to-day experience is one of suffering, frustration, or disappointment, you'll likely find yourself in a place that's very hard to grow, contribute, and create from. But what would your life be like if you felt extraordinary every single day? How would your work be impacted? How would your business change and grow? The obvious answer is that your life would be dramatically affected by this simple shift in mindset. Here's what's amazing about this equation we've laid out. It's less of a straight line and more of a loop. Mindset affects your thoughts, affects your actions, affects your results, which then again affects your mindset, which affects your thoughts, which affects your actions, etc. It's all interconnected and funnels from one stage to the next. If you can change your mindset to one of gratitude and faith and abundance, you'll reap the results of a better emotional state and a stronger ability to do the creative work you desire. One of the most important things I will do in this book is show you that mindset comes first. Mastering it makes everything easier. It's our strongest path to becoming a more creative, influential, and successful business owner. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into the feelings and emotional states that result from having a better mindset. How exactly does your emotional state impact the work that you do? By improving your emotional state, everything you touch gets better. Your work, your life experience, your relationships, your health, everything. Chapter 3. Take control of your emotional states. Once you understand where emotional states come from, you can understand how to control them. We need to take a quick step back to understand where our emotions come from. In the last chapter, we learned that emotions are outcomes, so if we can control the inputs, then we can better control the outcomes. Emotions result from three things: our focus, our language, and our physiology. At this point, put away any other distractions and fully focus on the rest of this chapter. It's a lot to take in all at once and is only mastered after a lot of practice. Emotion comes from physiology. Think about someone who is discouraged. What do they physically look like? Slumped over, head down, shallow breathing, sullen face, right? At least that's how we often picture them. Now, what about someone who is confident? Standing upright, shoulders back, slight smile, big eyes, deep breaths. That visual difference might seem fairly obvious, but when we take it one step further and apply this idea to our own physiology, that's where things get interesting. I want you to create a confident emotional state using just your physiology. Now stand up, stretch out your arms, make yourself physically bigger. Take a few deep breaths. Now, put a knowing smile on your face, like you've got some secret that you can't wait to tell the world about. Stand confidently. Make fists with your hands and put them on your hips. Stand like Wonder Woman or Superman. Now, hold this pose, take some deep breaths, and keep that smile on your face. Do this for at least a minute, ideally 2. What you just experienced is the power of just one part of the triad that determines our emotions. Amy Cuddy spoke about the power pose in a TED Talk a few years ago. It's absolutely worth a watch. That's Amy Cuddy, Cuddy. How do you feel when you embody this position? Confident, right? Let's quickly look at the other two parts of the triad to get the most out of this exercise. Let's quickly look at the other two parts of the triad to get the most out of this exercise. Emotion comes from focus. Another common saying from the man who I learned all this from is, what you focus on is what you feel. I was at a Tony Robbins event in 2019 when I learned this lesson in a way I'll never forget. Tony was working with a woman who minutes before had stood up and confided that just a few days ago she had contemplated taking her own life. Tony worked with her for more than an hour. At the beginning of their time together, you could see her physiology and hear the language she was using. Her triad, her focus, physiology, and language, was causing her to feel like she wasn't enough, that she was worthless, and that things were never going to get better. She was suffering. About halfway through their time discussing her situation, I saw her perspective start to shift. She had family members who loved, adored, and looked up to her. She had a gift for lifting up others and serving people. She had a reason that she was here on earth and a deep faith in God that kept her going. This light came into her eyes, and by the end of their conversation with Tony, she was cheering, jumping up and down, and filling the entire room with joy. The craziest part, though, is what happened a few hours later. Another man stood up and said he, too, was thinking about taking his life. Rather than working with him one-on-one, Tony brought the woman over to help. She went from focusing on her own suffering to focusing on saving another person she had never before that moment even met. Talk about a mindset shift. All from a simple shift in focus from how bad things were to how much she had to offer others in her world, a belief that she was enough and that she was loved. What we focus on is what we feel. To best understand this, think about a child between the ages of 5 and 10. When something happens to them, they fixate on it. The smallest word or action can cause a storm of emotions that boils up into a full-blown temper tantrum. Even my 3 boys, who are perfect little angels, of course, have these moments. The reason these temper tantrums happen is that a child gets so focused on how they were wronged and how that makes them feel that they keep ping-ponging back and forth between the affront and the feeling until it all escalates and ultimately explodes. Just the other day, my youngest boy stormed into the room as if someone had decapitated his stuffed dog. "But he stole my toy," my 7-year-old yelled, tears streaming down his eyes. His brother had picked up a Lego that the youngest had built. In our house, if you leave a toy alone for some time, it becomes fair game for someone to play with. Stole was an intense word for the situation, and it revealed what he was focused on, what had happened to him. "Yes, but is that a good reason to hit someone?" I calmly replied. "He stole my toy," and on and on. They even tell you loudly that they are focused on one thing and one thing only. If only they were able to see things from a different perspective. Now, the same happens in our adult lives. Admit it, you have little temper tantrums too. We fixate on what someone said or did, or the economy, or the pandemic, or the industry, or our competitors. We focus on it until it stirs us up into balls of emotions. You've likely experienced this in the last week, maybe even today. It's not just bad emotions either that can take us over. Have you ever gotten so excited by a project that you worked yourself up into a fever and kept going without a break until you realized it was midnight? It's because we get so focused that we get into a sort of flow where the only thing we can think of is the work in front of us. Who needs lunch anyway? Your kids do. They need lunch. Hurry, go feed them. But this knowledge provides an opportunity for empowerment. If you believe that you can control what you focus on, then you can start to control your emotions using this tool, directing your focus, just as you did with your physiology, striking the power pose. You want to get meta? What were you doing earlier when you were using physiology to change your state? You were focusing your thoughts on your current state and then making conscious changes. Mind blown. Emotion comes from language. The words you choose and the way you use them affect your emotional states just as much as focus and physiology. When someone hurts you, how do you respond? You could say, "You're dead, I'm going to kill you." Or you could say, "Oh, sheesh, that hurt a little. Please don't do that." One is very emotionally charged, not to mention an outright threat, while the other is almost a little playful. Say a client decided to go another way and work with a competitor. You could say, "That's it. I'm a failure. I'm worthless. I'll never succeed." Or you could say, "Shucks, that's unfortunate, but I get it. Oh well." Can you feel the difference in just the language? Look at the default words you use when good things happen and when bad things happen. How can you change the words you use to soften the blow when bad things happen and heighten the experience when good things happen? It's just as impactful to celebrate a huge win by saying, "Cool, probably a fluke. I'm not getting my hopes up until it happens again," as it is by saying, "This is incredible. I'm so grateful." These are powerful ways to change your emotional state in an instant if you choose to use them. They can help ensure that you stay in peak states more often and for longer periods of time, and can help you avoid feeling down and out because you're in a bad emotional state. These tactics have helped me tremendously, and the more I practice them, the quicker I snap out of emotional states that prevent me from showing up and doing my best work. Now, one note. Just because you experience bad emotional states doesn't make you bad. We all experience times of distress. It just means that you have patterns that are creating those states, pattern that can be adjusted and changed. So please don't feel that you've failed or anything like you're not enough. Please don't get stuck in states of suffering. The point is to identify that it's happening and make new choices to change things for the better. Determine the most important emotional state for you. When you think about that time that you were in flow, feeling at the top of your game, what was the emotion you were experiencing? Is that a constant for you? When you're in the zone, do you always experience that feeling? Are there other emotions that come with that feeling of being unstoppable and showing up as your best possible self? If so, I want you to write those down. When I'm in my peak state, I feel like my body can't keep up with my mind. Ideas flow so quickly and it takes everything I have to capture them in time. In this state, time is not a consideration. I could start at 9 a.m., then before I know it, it's 5 p.m. and I haven't taken a break to eat or use the bathroom or get some fresh air and sun. I crave these moments because I know that I'm serving and contributing at my highest level. I'm in the zone, so to speak, a place of peak creativity and clarity of thought. Clarity, for me, is one of the most empowering things. The more I understand something, the better I can use it. As we go through the next chapters, the emotions you wrote down to describe your peak state are the emotions that you're going to optimize for throughout your day. By continually finding your way back to those states, you'll cultivate a mindset for success. For instance, when I ask people what they feel when they're at their peak state, many answer, happy. How then can one find their way to the feeling of happy in order to maximize their return to their peak state? By focusing on being happy. If you want to feel motivated, focus on feeling motivated. If you want to feel creative, focus on a time where you were insanely creative in a state of pure flow. Use your focus, your language, and your physiology to get back into that same state again and again. There is an equation for happiness. Tony Robbins, whose work in psychology and other areas has inspired much of this chapter, shares what he calls the equation for happiness. It's a very simple if-then equation. If your life experience equals your expectations, you're satisfied. If your life experience does not equal your expectations, it's lower than your expectations, you're frustrated or angry or depressed. And if your life experience is greater than your expectations, you're happy. While it's simple, it's also incredibly powerful. There's one side of this equation that's much easier to control than the other. Guess which one? Exactly. It's easier to control our expectations than our actual experiences. That's why it's so important to put focus on shifting what we're experiencing. That is the point of this chapter, to change our mindset. Our expectations, the way we think things should be, can be adjusted at any moment. We can stop expecting our clients to act a certain way. We can stop feeling like the market owes us work, jobs, income, projects, etc. We can adjust our expectations of our audience. You can literally do any of those things right now. If there is something in your business that's frustrating or stressful, take a minute to identify the expectation you have around it. For example, say you have clients who aren't paying on time. I've been there. It's frustrating. But can you change your expectation to one of gratitude for the work in the first place? If not, then can you change the life experience to better match your expectation of prompt payment? What can you change about the way things are? Maybe you can create a more rigid payment window, or get paid half of the budget up front, or not deliver the final version until you've been paid in full. Those are all examples of changing the life conditions, but they take longer and are harder to implement. If you want instant happiness, change or lower your expectations. Now let's take a step back. We want to implement all of this emotional stuff at once because the better our mindset is, the better we will be at creating and showing up as our best selves. It's that best self that will do the work that inspires, influences, and changes people. The best self is the one who will grow your business. The best self is more likely to get paid in full on time. Practicing control over your physiology, focus, and language will help you step into that best self more frequently and easily. So that's what you need to do. Practice. Work at catching yourself when you're using unhelpful language. Take a break every hour to look at and adjust your physiology. Notice where your focus is and consciously choose to redirect it where you want it to be throughout the day. There's no done with this process. It's ongoing, and you'll only get better at making these adjustments with time. But you'll never stop doing it because it's that important. Part of making any time of practice successful is supporting it with proper foundation. That's why morning routines are so important. They can start us off in a peak state and have us diving into our work as our best selves. Okay, that's the end of chapter 3. I'm going to hit pause again, and I got to go take a break because my kids are probably just getting home. And man, I'm making not as much progress as I thought I would. So chapter 4 out of like 35. I'm going to have a long night and a lot to do. So thanks for watching. I'm going to call the live stream here because nobody's watching anymore. But yeah, it's super fun. Building in public, that's the thing, right? That's what we do. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have questions, hit me up on Twitter at Darren T. Smith. And if you're interested in the book, go ahead and check out craftsmancreative.co. blog.craftsmancreative.co. Or if you're watching this on Tuesday the 12th or later, store.craftsmancreative.co to get your copy of Craftsman Creative book. See you around.